When is the best time to claim your Social Security? If you were to go out and do a Google search right now, there are plenty of opinions and there is plenty of advice out there on when you should take it, when you should not take it, and everything in between that you need to know in order to make the optimal decision. But in reality, the optimal decision isn't necessarily the best decision for you. And when it comes to Social Security, you should avoid conventional wisdom because Social Security needs to be made within the framework of your own financial situation. So in this video, I want to break down the 5 questions every individual needs to answer before you make your Social Security decision. Because the last thing you want to do is rely on conventional wisdom or advice that says delay, delay, delay without considering a broader scope of how that decision will impact your personal finances. So question number 1, and it's probably the most difficult question to answer for a lot of people because there is no right answer, and that is, how long do you think you're going to live? Longevity is a huge crapshoot because we have no clue how long any individual is going to live. But there are places you can go to look to give you a better idea of what your potential longevity could be. Now, I want to start with one place that you should not look. And the one place you should not look is to go to Google and type in what the average life expectancy of a US adult is, because the answer you're going to get is about 77 to 78 years old. But that life expectancy number is based off of a person who was just born. And if you're somebody who's in your late 50s or early 60s, your actual life expectancy is greater than that. So don't go off the average because you're not average and the person watching this video today is not a newborn. So that information is not relevant to your life. What you should instead do is look at your current health right now. Do you have any major health issues happening right now at this moment? Do you have any current health issues that you dealt with in the past that have a high probability of creeping up and happening again in the near future? If so, that might reduce your longevity, and it's good to know that. The next place you're going to want to go to is looking at your family history. Do you have grandparents who are centenarians, who are living into their hundreds? Do you have parents that are in really good health? Do you expect your health to follow the same track as those individuals because of your current lifestyle and how you take care of yourself? If so, there is a chance that your longevity is probably going to be longer than a lot of people who you are associating your longevity with because you are healthier and have better genetics potentially than those individuals. So looking at longevity and trying to figure out how long you think you're going to live is the number one question. And unfortunately, it's the question nobody can answer with any sort of certainty that will provide you with the biggest navigation possible to help you make the best decision when it comes to your Social Security, because it is all dependent on how long you think you're going to live. And if we knew the answer to that, it would make financial planning and things like when to claim Social Security that much easier. So trying to narrow that down to as close of a number as you possibly can, given your current health and your family's longevity, could be a big boon. Question number 2 is, how does claiming, or when does claiming your Social Security, how is that going to impact the growth of your other retirement or portfolio assets? So we all know that claiming Social Security today will allow you to keep more of your money in your retirement accounts or your other portfolio assets. And on the flip side of that, what is the opportunity cost of delaying your Social Security and having to withdraw that money from your investment accounts? So you're going to want to ask yourself, are you more of a conservative investor, and do you have a lot of your money in bank CDs and bonds where you'd rather be safe than sorry? If that's the case and your average rate of return expected over the next 5 to 10 years is going to be, 3.5%, 4%, the probability, or I guess the opportunity cost of delaying Social Security and withdrawing that money today is probably going to be pretty insignificant because of the way Social Security is guaranteed to grow in the near term. But if you're a more aggressive investor and your investment portfolios are a little more aggressive and you have risk capacity to keep it that way as you get closer to and enter into retirement, then it becomes a little bit more important to evaluate the opportunity cost of delaying Social Security, even though that check will get bigger every single year, because that means you're going to have to withdraw more money out of your portfolio. And that withdrawn money is money that now will not grow at maybe that future expected higher rate of return into the future. So the opportunity cost of delaying Social Security and having to withdraw money out of your investment portfolios or retirement accounts today to create that income that you need, since Social Security is not going to be turned on, is definitely a factor you're going to want to consider and a crucial question you're going to want answered before you pull that Social Security trigger. Question number 3 is, what is your confidence in the future of Social Security? So anybody that's looked into Social Security knows that the Social Security Trust Fund is expected to be depleted by year 2033. Will that actually happen? Maybe. I personally don't think that will be the case. I think there is a lot of levers Congress and lawmakers can pull in order to reinvigorate and put more cash into the Social Security Trust Fund. But if you're an individual who doesn't think that way and you'd rather be safe than sorry, taking Social Security now at an earlier age to get your full benefit before we hit 2033 and potentially experiencing a 23% reduction could be a major benefit to you, because you'll be getting more out earlier before that reduction hits later on. But if you're somebody like me who goes, I think lawmakers are going to find a way to extend Social Security, they could raise the tax, they could increase that income threshold of the amount of income that Social Security gets applied to, the tax anyway, then delaying Social Security because you're not worried about a future reduction could be a big benefit to you because of that increased check amount every year you wait to claim. Question number 4, and this I think is the second biggest question you need to answer outside of the longevity question, is what and how does your Social Security align with what your spouse is doing or will do? And this specifically becomes important if you and your spouse have a major age gap and longevity gap. So let's just assume that your spouse is 80 years old. They maxed out their Social Security at age 70, and right now their benefit's around $5,000 a month. Great. Then you do your own calculation, and you're 62 right now, and you go, by the time I get to age 70, my max benefit's going to be around $5,000 a month as well. Well, is there value in waiting and delaying your check to grow it as big as possible to age 70? A lot of people will say, yes, absolutely. My thought in this scenario is absolutely not, because you're not doing yourself any benefit by delaying your check till age 70 if that spousal benefit you're going to receive when your spouse passes away. Because remember, you get the bigger of the two Social Security checks between you and your spouse when one spouse passes away for the remainder of the surviving spouse's life. So if your spouse is a lot older than you and has a high benefit that meets or exceeds your max benefit at age 70, well, best case scenario is you get to 70, you turn your benefit on at that max amount, and then your spouse passes away 1 year later. Well, your check's going to go away. You're going to get your spouse's check, and all that time between now and your max age of 70 was wasted that you could have otherwise already started taking Social Security. So if there is a big age gap and there is a longevity gap between you and your spouse has a high Social Security check already or is expected to have one, that will be the same or bigger than your max benefit by the time you hit age 70, there is a high chance that you claiming your Social Security earlier, giving up on that deferral and higher Social Security check for yourself, could be beneficial, because later on you're going to collect that spousal benefit anyway when your spouse passes away. Again, if they expect to pass at an age when you are expected to hit your max benefit at age 70. And that's where that longevity and age gap comes into play. So answering that question is absolutely critical. And then finally, the 5th question you're going to want to answer before you take your Social Security is, how badly do you need the income? It's fine for somebody to sit here and say everybody who's in their early 60s should delay taking Social Security because you're going to get a bigger benefit long term. Kind of sounds like nonsense if you're sitting there barely scraping by and you absolutely need that income. And if you don't take your Social Security, you're going to have to go and do something like take on a bunch of credit card debt, or take out a reverse mortgage, or take out some sort of high interest loan in order just to get by. If that's the case, it is an absolute no-brainer to take your benefit earlier in life in order to avoid having to take on those unattractive other options like credit card or mortgage debt or high interest debt of some sort later on, just to get you by before you turn on Social Security at a later age. So when it comes to Social Security, the worst thing you can do is say, hey, Derek, I'm going to rely on conventional wisdom and I'm just going to delay. And delay, because that's how I get the biggest benefit and that's how I'm going to get the most out of the Social Security system. That is absolutely not true. On the flip side of that, you could be somebody who says, I want to take Social Security as early as I can at age 62 because I just don't know what the future is going to bring. That is absolutely not what you should do either. You should have a more focused and a more analyzed process when it comes to making that decision, and answering these 5 questions will put you on that path to give you a better shot in doing just that. My name is Derek Delaney. I am the owner and founder of PharmD Financial Planning, where we specialize in helping clients achieve their retirement dreams and making sure that our clients make the best Social Security decision for their specific financial goals is one thing that we're able to help them do. So if you're somebody watching this video and you go, I want somebody to help me make this decision because I understand how impactful it's going to be to my overall financial health, I invite you to schedule your 15-minute consultation with me and we can talk about this in more detail. You can do that by visiting pharmdfp.com and scheduling your free consultation right from my website. I look forward to that future call, and until then, happy planning.